In the midst of social distancing and business lockdowns, a freelance writer and a graphic artist bought a bus, converted it into a tiny home on wheels, and moved out of our 4-bedroom house. 1 year later, we downsized to a Chevy Express. Now we travel between Texas and Pennsylvania from April through November while exploring small towns with rich histories. In the winter, we hunker down in Texas in our schoolie and dream of our next big trip.
We're Alan and Teresa.
And we're rolling with our gnomies. Well, welcome to Smithfield, North Carolina. We got a great tour for you today. And
everybody knows you're not in Smithfield.
Where am I?
Well, I don't know, but you're not in Smithfield because we do our intros outside.
Well, they wouldn't know where we're at if you don't tell them.
Well, we're not in Smithfield and we're not outside.
All right, so this is a post-dated intro to the Smithfield video. And you're going to really love this video. There's some really cool stuff, including me almost getting my wife killed walking across the street.
That wasn't recorded.
But that wasn't in the video. It just happened. So anyways, you're going to love the video. Watch it. Comment down below what your favorite part was, and don't forget to subscribe to the video channel and share us with your friends. So this building was originally the Bank of Smithfield. It's in a neoclassical style, constructed in 1913. It housed the corporate offices of First Citizens Bank until the 1970s. Since 2000, it's been the home of the Johnston County Heritage Center, but they recently moved that down the street. So now it's a genealogical library. And it had a museum in it, but that's moved down the street. So now it's a genealogical library, and it's a pretty nice looking building.
It's beautiful. Okay, let's see what else.
So we're looking at an early post office built in 1904. And it served as the post office until 1928 and the headquarters of the Smithfield Herald until 1924. So it was simultaneously a post office and newspaper print shop. So this is one of the more interesting Masonic lodges I've seen. It's built in the Greek Revival style around 1854 to 55 and built in sort of a temple form. You see the elliptical arch up there on the top. In the upper floor, that's where they held their meetings, I guess, for the longest time. So that's interesting. It looks like a house now.
It looks like a very plain Masonic lodge.
Yeah, very plain Masonic. The Massey Wilson House and Smith and Telfair home site. P.T. Massey built this handsome Italianate house in 1885 on the knoll where the families of town founder John Smith and Dr. Alexander Telfair formerly lived. Massey was the county's most influential Republican politician in the late 19th century. He served as clerk of Superior Court during Reconstruction and later as a U.S. tax collector, raiding numerous illicit liquor stores in the area.
He doesn't sound like anyone that we want to know
So we're
about.
overlooking the Neuse River, and somewhere up in here is the site of a ferry site. The Smith family operated a ferry from 1760 to 1786. Court minutes from 1760 show it cost 4 pence for man and horse to cross, 6 pence for an empty cart, 1 to 2 shillings for an empty and loaded wagons. The home of town founder John Smith Jr. was built on the knoll overlooking the ferry.
Which would be right up there.
Right up there on the hill.
Right up here on the hill.
Yep. After moving to Tennessee in the 1780s, his sons-in-law John Allen and William Bridgers ran the ferry. Cool.
Now, I will say that one of the little town propaganda things said that when there was a big rain, then steamboats could come up the river from New Bern and bring coastal or ocean fish and shrimp.
Yeah, Yeah, I could see that. This creek has a lot of ways to rise.
It does.
Yeah, it's got high banks.
It's got high banks for a reason.
Now we're coming upon a bridge, and it says here, John Allen built the first of many bridges here in about 1786. Travelers had to pay a toll to cross. In 1865, fleeing Confederate soldiers burned a covered bridge on this site to slow the movement of Union forces, and county commissioners later contracted with African-American merchant Brian Altford to rebuild it. The covered bridge remained in use until 1907, until a turnpike was built in the 1870s. Heavy rains frequently caused flooding, such that travelers had to wait for someone to come on a boat to convey them across. Hi. So here's the bridge.
Right.
Oh, look at here.
Here's the bridge abutment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so
Doesn't look like there's one left on the other side.
doesn't look like it.
But absolutely.
You see where the bridge was.
This is storm drains down here.
Yeah.
Storm runoff. There was a nice thunderstorm this morning
It
before
rained
we
this
got here.
morning.
So
That's why you got all that runoff.
we got rain runoff. But it's a pretty tall bridge.
Yeah.
Right? Old bridge site. Okay.
So the Hastings House was built in 1839 or thereabouts. It was the headquarters for Confederate Generals Joseph E. Johnston, Wade Hampton, and Braxton Bragg in March and April of 1865, prior to and following the Battle of Bentonville. Major William Hastings acquired the property in 1854, and the Hastings family lived here during the Civil War era. It was moved to its current location in 1965.
It was in town.
Yeah.
It was not along the river.
Yeah, so this was his headquarters. And
When it was located in Smithfield proper. This would have been outside of Smithfield proper.
yeah. So anyways, nice.
Now,
Here's a primitive Baptist church. It's a one-room church built around 1875. Represents Johnston County's largest religious denomination of the 19th century. Primitive Baptists still worship in much the same way as their pioneer ancestors. No Sunday schools or missionaries, preachers who are raised up in the church, and singing without the use of man-made instruments. The Smithfield congregation still sings from the 1841 Benjamin Lloyd hymn book, in use since the church's founding.
wow.
St.
Nice.
Paul's Episcopal Church / Baptist church site. You gotta love a church with a red door. It was originally built in 1777, and it included a church yard at the corner of Front and Church Streets, but the earliest known church structure, Smithfield Baptist, was built on this lot in 1835. Simple one-room meeting house with a gallery for slaves, and was used as a temporary hospital for Confederate soldiers in 1865. The present early English Gothic style sanctuary was built in 1949 by St. Paul's Episcopal Church.
Okay.
Awesome slawsome. Here we're looking at the Centenary United Methodist Church. It's a notable example of the colonial revival style, popular in the early 20th century, The Methodists worshipped a block away until from 1839 to 1914 until they completed this domed auditorium.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful church.
And
Courthouse.
the Johnston County Court House.
So the original portion facing Market Street was built in 1921 to 1922. That's the part we're looking at now. On the same site occupied by the courthouses since 1797. They replaced the brick courthouse built in 1843, the headquarters of Union General William T. Sherman, from April 9th through 16th, 1865. It was here that Union soldiers celebrated news that General Robert E. Lee had surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia. Architect Harry Barton of Greensboro was hired to design this neoclassical structure, and it was built by contractor J.W. Stout and Company of Sanford, North Carolina.
It is not a pretty courthouse.
It's not gorgeous, but it's not as bad as some we've seen.
It's not ugly, it's just very...
There's a plaque in front of it there. It says Sherman receives news of Lee's surrender in Smithfield.
Yeah.
This is where he was at when he heard that news.
That's awesome though. It's a nice courthouse, but it's not the prettiest we've seen.
It is not. We're doing our best here, folks. We're trying really hard to entertain you guys and educate you guys and, you know, fill up some of our time. So, thank you for watching us, and come back next week where we hope we'll not forget to do our intro. Alright, if I don't do this right, then I'm going to be on the bad side of my wife. So y'all bear with me and pray for me. But while you're doing that, don't forget, share us with your friends, like us if you like us if you don't, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. God bless.